Hello and welcome back together to this weekly update on the financial markets with me again. Like always, I want to cover with you the S&P 500 index, US oil, gold, Bitcoin against the US dollar, and the single stock at the moment. I'm also trading AOS. I will show you all my trades, what I have done in the past, and what I will do with these positions in the future. Let's start directly in with the S&P 500 on the weekly time frame. Like promised, the S&P 500 index on the weekly time frame, so each candle represents 1 week of price action. We have a major solid orange weekly uptrend line with making higher highs and higher lows, so the major uptrend is intact. We had a weekly uptrend line that's now a secondary broken uptrend line. After the break, we have seen the massive correction with the tariffs announcement of the USA and the 20% correction all the way back down to the prior all-time high, major all-time high. Since then, we got a nice bounce to new all-time high territory. Why I have this now broken weekly uptrend line still led in this chart, in this view, because this broken uptrend lines often afterwards act as resistance zones for price if they test them again from the lower side, even at an all-time high level. Like you can see, that worked pretty well, and we are correcting at the moment a little bit to the downside. The MACD indicator looks like it wants to turn again to the downside, but we will see. Let's drop one time frame lower to the daily time frame. You can see that we are clearly at an all-time high. The daily uptrend got pretty stretched to the upper side, and yeah, we perfectly retested here the lower side of this weekly secondary uptrend line, got rejected, broke this daily solid uptrend line to the downside, and now making a correction. What I'm expecting now, I would expect an ABC correction. How far or how deep that ABC correction will go, I don't know. I have not a crystal ball, but the steeper the rise, the usual the corrective move afterwards normally. So that's the reason why I haven't moved my stop loss here already to my entry level, because the possibility is there that it will correct all the way back down to my entry level, and from there on then find a bottom and rise further and continue the overall uptrend. Yeah, at the moment my stop loss is pretty secured with $2,000 at loss if price would meet this level again. We have the last all-time high here. We have the 200 daily moving average that's acting normally as support for price, and then this secondary daily support zone, and below that my stop loss is placed. So at the moment, totally confident with that one. I wait and see now for this correction. If we drop one time frame lower to the 4-hour time frame, you can see that this corrective move was already announced by the MACD indicator. So prices was making higher highs while MACD was making lower highs. That divergence not plays out directly normally, but a little bit afterwards, you often see then the corrective move appear. And normally you have to look on aligning indicators or support and resistance zone. In this case, this weekly secondary uptrend line where we tested that one from the lower side and then got rejected lower. So that was pretty fitting in my view. So now that you know my entry level, my stop loss level, and what I want to do with that, what if we see this ABC correction and afterwards a rise? For that, I want to go back to the daily time frame where I have thrown in this possible ABC correction. If we now would see a break higher above this ABC correction, so taking out the last all-time high, then I would bet that we will continue the overall uptrend. I would move my stop loss level to my entry level to take the trade risk-free. Like I already said, at the moment that we see a new all-time high, and my take profit area is placed below the first extension of the Fibonacci retracement tool that I was placing from the low of the movement to the high of the movement, and then you get these important lines for setbacks and extensions for take profit areas at new all-time high areas, because they have no support and resistance zones to act on. So that's the only tool I like to use for imagine where price could possibly go before we see a rollover again. That's my plan for the S&P 500 index. I would like now to switch to US oil. Oil also starting at a weekly time frame. We can see here in red solid a monthly downward line, absolutely beautiful how it worked out. And then back in 2021 in April we have then see the breakout above that and also above this monthly support and resistance zone. And since then we're moving in this weekly corrective move. You could argue to see here an A, B, C correction. Maybe point C is already in, but there's definitely the potential that we will decline even lower than the last low here, and that will then confirm point C. So at the moment, a little bit speculative that I'm in a long position, but because of that, only with a small position. I will explain you all reasons for this trade on a lower time frame, the daily one. On the daily time frame, you can see we had a white solid daily downward line, a double bottom scenario, then lower or higher lows and higher highs, and then we crashed all the way back down to this weekly support zone, but we violated already the weekly downtrend line, so maybe that's the first sign of a break to the upside. I was in a trade, I closed out because it was chopping around sideways in this here, and I was deciding in a couple of episodes before that I want to enter the trade if we see price breaking out above this chop here and the 200 moving average. Also, what we have seen at the moment is a cross from MACD indicator from low to high, so also normally a positive sign, no guarantee, and we have seen that. I got in the trade around this area. I was placing here my entry level and then directly reversed to the downside. Sometimes that happens. My stop loss is still 50% far away below this two lows here that should be protective structure, but they can definitely get taken out and break my my stop loss here. Then I would lose 0.5% of my account balance. And we drop one time from lower to 4-hour time frame. You can see we had this secondary 4-hour uptrend line and blue dotted. We have seen a break below, a lower high, a lower low. So I was expecting we will see further continuation lower. And I said, if we see again a break above these highs, then probably we change from a downtrend again to an uptrend. Because that I placed here my entry level. We have seen the break slightly above it. I got into this trade and then we directly have seen a reversion until this lowest ain't getting taken out. The trade idea ain't the worst. And yeah, if they get taken out, then it's not far to my stop loss. Because of that, I place it there. And sometimes we lose a trade, hopefully with not a lot of capital like in this case. Otherwise, we would see a break again above this weekly solid downward line that would confirm that we are definitely now in a breakout scenario for US oil after a lot of time consolidating lower. So getting from a long-term downtrend to probably a long-term uptrend, but that's just guaranteed mainly if we see a break above this peak here, above this weekly downtrend line and taking all these highs and rising higher. But breaking here above that could be a first sign. I tried to catch this move early. That's all I have for oil. Let's switch to gold. Gold here at the weekly time frame again. We can see we had a lot of trouble breaking above this weekly resistance zone here, but once we have got above it, we have known only one direction, and that's up. High highs followed by higher lows. This trend ain't broken yet. We are consolidating pretty long here on a high level, which is mainly bullish, not bearish. MACD is crossing the downside. We have seen it a couple of times with each correction, but this time it takes a little bit longer. We'll see what that gets. To analyze it better, let's drop one time frame lower to the daily time frame. Here you can see a daily white solid uptrend line. Price moved far away from that, so I was throwing in a secondary daily uptrend line, running into a triangle formation, and that one got broken out to the downside. That's the reason why I sold my long position here for a loss of 0.5% of my account balance, half of the initial stop loss that would have been below this point. At the moment, it looks like the stop loss haven't been hit, but my concern at least was that we see here this fake out above this downtrend line, reverse directly, retest the breakout area, and then continue lower. So because of that, I decided to get out of the trade a little bit earlier. Maybe that's not the right decision, but it's a conservative decision because I like to protect my capital more than potential gains. And I decided, well, let's have a look on that on a lower time frame, the 4 hour time frame. There you can see it better that we have now a clear area. Whoops, wasn't supposed to move that one. Clear area marked by this blue rectangle here. If we see price getting again above that one, I think that's a clear sign that this sideways chop and this sideways consolidation is over. We have a clear breakout and then continue higher, and that would be also the moment I would like again to open up a new long position with then more confident than the prior position. So probably also a higher higher risk, so probably 2 to 3% risk in the portfolio with that trade. Stop loss probably below this sideways chop, so maybe here at this blue line or something like that. That should be protective enough if the uptrend is intact. So at the moment, out of the trade, no trades. Gold, if we see prices again above this 4 hour support or resistance zone, then I will get long again with stop loss. I inform you then in my next video, so subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, so don't miss that one. But it's definitely possible that getting out of this trade at that moment wasn't the baddest idea, because we can well reverse around this level here, break this underlying boundary here to the lower side, and continue at least to this major solid daily uptrend, or in worst case even lower to the weekly uptrend line. It's nearly around the $3,000 level, so not a bad valuation for gold, and I wouldn't be concerned because that's a really high area of supply or demand in this moment. So I would guess that from there on we will see the latest point and we'll see a turn again in continuation higher. But that's a big movement that takes a lot of weeks or even months. So yeah, let's concentrate on the situation we have right now. These are the two scenarios: breaking out, continuation with a long trade, or reversing all the way back down to the daily time frame and see from here if we see there a bottom or just first later on. That's all I have for gold at the moment. Let's switch to Bitcoin. Bitcoin here at the weekly time frame, guys and girls, looking beautiful with an intact uptrend, higher highs followed by higher lows. And yeah, the only concern right now I have is that we see a MACD divergence on a weekly. That's always a thing. We can see here we are getting higher in the MACD indicator and also higher in price. This time we're getting higher in price, but we're also getting lower in the indicator. Nothing to be too worried about in my opinion, but a little bit cautious. Yeah, if we walk one time frame lower to the daily time frame, you can see that here everything looks pretty fine. We had this daily uptrend making a new all-time high, a nice ABC corrective move. From there on was able to draw in this daily uptrend line. We've seen a push to new all-time highs, sideways consolidation, breaking down now this downside consolidation. And ideal we would hold right now or a little bit deeper on the detail on this daily white solid uptrend line, and from there on find a bottom and start rising again without breaking lower. The second stop for a declining price would be the prior all-time high here in combination with this daily support zone, and from there on we should see a reversal. Everything below that could get pretty critical, especially for my long trade here, because prices below this ABC pattern would definitely speak. Then we would take out a huge support zone for Bitcoin. It would probably mean that we'll decline all the way back down to this weekly orange solid uptrend line. At the moment, everything's fine. First hope that we stabilize here and rise from there again. Second hope is this past all-time high level, and then we get to my trade. At the moment, I'm pretty nice in profit, but I scaled up in this trade after seeing prices higher than this ABC consolidation. I was risking or putting $2,000 into this trade. At the moment, only risking 0.5% of my account balance, so $500 or nearly $600 already in this trade with a rising portfolio. Stop loss so far is protected also by the 2-hour moving average. So at the moment all fine, but we have to be cautious. It could get a problem, but I'm mainly bullish right now that is probably a consolidation that many participants in the market are willing to use for an entry before the final blow of the 4-year Bitcoin cycle. We all hope for, but hope is not a strategy, so have your stop losses and check so you don't lose too much if the idea is already too mainstream and will, because of that, not work out as in past times. History is a great advisor, and I would never bet against history, but I don't take it as a guarantee. Let's say it like that. If we drop one time frame lower to the 4-hour time frame, you can see that at the moment we have from this prior ABC correction here for our support zone meeting with the daily white solid uptrend line. That could as well be an ABC correction, so that would be a nice spot for rising prices again. And the MACD indicator at the 4-hour at least is looking a little bit oversold and crossing to the upper side, so probably rising from here again. Maybe also see another dip, then start rising again. That would be the ideal case. Yeah, where is my take profit target? Maybe we'll talk about that on the daily time frame. Zoom a little higher. Yeah, my take profit target is around the $135,000 level. I think it's conservative if you hear out there what the price targets for Bitcoin are, but I would make a nice profit. I would like to probably secure there. So here I have drawn in the Fibonacci retracement lines from the low to the high of this movement before we have seen the ABC correction. And if I use at the all-time high territory the extension lines of the Fibonacci tool, then I place it right below the second extension one here. And because of that, I placed my track profit slightly below the $135,000 mark. For sure can go higher, but that's at the moment my mark I want to use for taking profits. Either we'll take all profits on the table or just a part of the overall trade. I will see and share it with you in upcoming videos like always. That's all I have for Bitcoin. Last but not least, the single stock. On a weekly time frame, you can see that A.0 point this cooperation is in an uptrend, making higher highs and higher lows after each other. And I was also able to draw for our orange solid uptrend line here, why I have chosen this stock, because we have similar patterns here, movements, and we maybe can profit from that in this current situation. Let's drop down for that on the daily time frame. You can see the situations in detail. We had a downtrend line. Somewhere at the bottom we had a weekly support zone. We had a break above this uptrend, a retest, a second break, slightly higher high, retest, and then break of that one again. It would have been a good trading situation if we would have placed our stop loss below this second retest. Everything supported by the 200 moving average in the daily. Second situation, same in green. We have this daily downtrend line. We have the support. We have seen the first breakout, retest, second breakout, slightly above it, retest, not getting as low as the first retest, and then a breakout. Entry would have been there, stop loss below the second retest, supported by the 200 moving average. Great trade, running pretty far. Now we have the current situation. We have the support zone in combination with the weekly uptrend line here. We have a broken downtrend line to the upper side. The first retest, the second one making a slightly higher high, retest, not as low as the prior one. Stop loss below that second retest, entry above it. I was entering at the moment, slight loss, and everything supported by the 200 moving average. So I think you can see why I wanted to trade this trade. It's a single stock, so more volatile than the overall market probably. So I'm only risking 0.5% of my account balance here. If we drop one time frame lower to the 4-hour time frame, you can see also a probable head and shoulders pattern, with this being the head and these two being the shoulders. Then in blue, the neckline, if you will, so clear break above that. And normally that means that the height of the head and shoulders pattern can be put on top of it to adjust where to take profit target should be. In this case, I'm getting to a 2.4 risk reward ratio. That's pretty good. And at the moment, I'm running this trade. If it reverse too low, taking out my stop loss, then it will be so. 0.5% loss on account. But otherwise, it will turn out like in prior situations. Like I said already by Bitcoin, history is a good teacher, but no guarantee. Yeah, if it's a good teacher, then we will see probably taking out my take profit target here, conservative, again, no new all-time high or so I want to reach with 2.5 times nearly the profit I was risking initially. That's all I have for this weekly update, my friends. I hope you hear and see me next week. Bye bye.